Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. I'm really thrilled people are here and foregoing a little bit of sunshine to join us today. I'm Eleanor Feingold. I'm the Dean of the College of Science. I want to welcome everyone here to celebrate inclusive excellence in the College of Science, and more specifically, to experience this multimedia performance presented by Hannah Stuwe, PhD candidate in biochemistry and biophysics, joined by fellow musicians. We're also grateful to some community and campus partners who are outside in the lobby tabling and sharing some of their resources with us. I hope that after the performance you go out there for the reception and also take time to visit some of the people at the tables. They've got some really interesting things there. Let me begin with a land acknowledgement. Oregon State University recognizes the impact that its land grant history has had on Indigenous communities in Oregon. Oregon State University in Corvallis is located within the traditional homelands of the Marys River Band of the Kalapuya, who were forcibly removed to reservations in Western Oregon. We take ownership of the need to mitigate the continuing impact of the land grant history on these communities. In thinking about that mitigation mission, it's important to recognize that scientific discovery has historically been one of the greatest drivers of improvement in the human condition, but simultaneously has been one of the greatest drivers of inequity and human misery. For me, a critical part of our mission as scientists is to ensure that we're working on the side of good, even if we might not all agree at the micro level on what constitutes good, with AI being a current prime example. One way we work towards that positive impact is to ensure that we draw on a wide range of perspectives and experiences in everything that we do. That's also an important way to just make sure we're doing good science, and that the limitation of our own experiences isn't leading us to miss important observations or conclusions. So tonight's performance is in that spirit. I really hope that everyone will enjoy themselves, but also reflect on how thinking in the most diverse and inclusive ways advances the scientific pursuit and helps us stay on the path toward all the good that science can do. I will now turn things over to Cameron Kadaoka, the College of Science's Director for Equity, Access, and Inclusion, who will introduce Hannah Stuwe and her group.
Good evening. My name is Cameron Kadaoka, and I serve as the Director for Equity, Access, and Inclusion for the College of Science. Thank you all for being here for what promises to be a unique and exciting multimedia experience celebrating inclusive excellence here at Oregon State University and in the College of Science. Last year's Inclusive Excellence Lecture took place at the beginning of what has become a complicated and trying time for equity, access, and inclusion. That's what makes this evening especially meaningful, to be here with you all 1 year later, still celebrating inclusive excellence. The college's commitment to creating equity, access, and inclusion, removing barriers, fostering success for all has never been stronger. All across the college, faculty, staff, and students are pushing the needle forward in innovative and effective ways. This year, the college launched its first ever equity projects request for funding proposals aimed at advancing equity in the college by addressing a systemic need or challenge. The college is supporting 5 projects. A team from microbiology is developing lab bench stations that are wheelchair accessible, as well as handicap accessible, and equipped with technology to allow for the full participation by low vision and color vision impaired students. A team from biochemistry and biophysics is developing a lab bench station that is wheelchair and handicap accessible that will be equipped to allow the full participation of lab bench users in BB lab classes. A team from integrative biology is developing a STEM-focused community of practice for instructors and graduate students teaching difference, power, and oppression courses. This community of practice will provide professional development, resources, and a support network for folks teaching these rewarding and challenging courses. A team from mathematics is redesigning several 100-level math courses to embed accessible teaching and instruction practices, digital accessibility, and inclusive materials. And lastly, a team from physics is developing physics demonstrations that are accessible to hard of hearing and low or no vision students, as well as organizing the demo space and creating teaching guides. These projects are just a small sample of the work that is happening in every corner of the college. Tonight's celebration focuses on last year's Inclusive Excellence Award winner, Hannah Stuwe. Hannah is a PhD candidate in biochemistry and biophysics. The Inclusive Excellence Award was launched in 2019 to celebrate the work faculty, staff, and students are doing to advance inclusive excellence here at OSU and across the college. We've since expanded this this award to include this lecture, a platform to highlight and elevate the important work happening across our community. Hannah Stuwe studies SARS-CoV-2 as part of the Barber Lab. Outside of the lab, Hannah is a musician and co-founder of the nonprofit Corvallis Music Collective. Founded in 2024, the collective supports local musicians through a low-cost rental space, a gear lending library, and all ages substance-free shows with a no one turned away for lack of funds policy. Inspired by a perspective rooted in helping your neighbor, working towards a greater good, Stuwe has supported rallies and events for the Disabled Students Union, the Disability Justice Rally, and the OSU Basic Needs Center. She also developed a hands-on activity in protein purification for visiting middle and high school students. These experiences give students, many from rural and Spanish-speaking communities, a chance to handle real-world research materials and see science come to life. Tonight, we will hear about these two worlds colliding. What happens when the DIY punks principles like helping your neighbor and working towards the greater good meet science? After Stuwe's multimedia experience, please join us for a reception in the lobby. And now, I am pleased to bring Hannah Stuwe to the stage along with her band.
Let's make sure this works really quick. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Dean Feingold and Cameron for the introductions. Thanks for participating in this experiment I'm kind of performing here. I've never done this specific kind of thing before, so we're all experiencing it together for the first time. Special thanks to all the folks in the College of Science who supported me in this frankly wacky idea and put in so much work to make it happen. And I'm still just baffled that I get to do this. Some quick notes as we get started. We're gonna be playing music, so feel free to clap after songs. We're not doing like orchestra rules. You don't need to wait till the end of an act. Also, I will be I'm gonna be posing a lot of open-ended questions that I don't necessarily have the answer to. I don't claim to be an expert in inclusive excellence, but I just want to share my perspectives and opinions and hope that you find something useful in what I have to say. Also, we're gonna try our best not to be too loud. Just fair warning. So like Cameron was saying, I want to give some background on me and how I ended up here. I am in the final stretch of my PhD in biochemistry and biophysics, and I've gotten to do a lot of good as part of this program. Obviously, I've gotten to do cutting-edge research in protein biophysics, but I've also had the honor to facilitate a wealth of science outreach, particularly with my colleagues in the OSU Biophysical Society student chapter. Where did we go? There we go, sorry. I'm not used to clickers. So we've been able to create an open source DIY biochemistry handbook for middle-aged students, demonstrate these activities at the Oregon State Fair, which was so much fun, attend middle school career fairs in rural communities in Oregon, and I even got to create an event called Sounds of Biophysics, where we combined mechanosensory biophysics with music inspired by protein folding. A big project that I've been really proud of is developing a hands-on protein purification activity for high school students. And I want to say thank you to Carol McKeel for being able to, being the best enabler and letting me develop and run this. I'm also part of a team of grad students that work on the longest running and now national award-winning KBVR radio show Inspiration Dissemination, where we feature the research and personal stories of graduate students and postdocs at OSU. So all of this sort of exists on one half of the Venn diagram of my life, and then kind of like a real-world Hannah Montana, I have another life centered around music and community organizing. So I'm a musician, I play in 3 bands, and I brought them all with me today. And I do some recording work and like things here and there. I'd also like to consider myself a community organizer, and in 2024, I and my good friend and colleague Devin Cash founded the nonprofit organization, the Corvallis Music Collective. The CMC is a community of musicians and music lovers who believe that everyone should have the chance to create, practice, and perform. Our mission is pretty simple: building and connecting music communities in our local area. Our core beliefs are that music belongs to everyone, resource sharing builds stronger communities, and every scene enriches our community, and young musicians need diverse pathways for success. So I could spend the whole talk just talking about the collective, so if you're interested in learning more, I encourage you to check out our website or some of the materials in the lobby. So much of the good I've done in my community has been a direct result of my involvement with music. I've gotten to donate my time and my skills to help raise funds or awareness for a lot of great causes. Some highlights include the Disabled Students Union, the Basic Needs Center, the Trevor Project, Jackson Street Youth Services, Black Lives Matter rallies, and much more. And this is possible because I get to exist in a culture and community of DIY punk ideals, which is really what I'm here to talk about tonight. But before we get into that, I'd like to play some music for you all. So this talk is going to be interspersed with live music. I figured that since I'm going to be talking about how much music has impacted my life and how it can impact yours, it's only fitting that we listen to some. I wanted to start off with the first song I wrote for the first band I was ever in, because it seemed like the best way to start is from the beginning. So far, so good, right? Right. All right, so I want to talk about what the heck DIY punk is. Is it a musical genre? Is it a community, a culture, a group of people? The answer is yes. It's sort of all of those things. In the 1970s, punk grew out of a desire to have control over one's own music independent of major record labels, and a subculture blossomed around these do-it-yourself ideals. Nowadays, modern DIY culture is not entirely centered around the singular genre of punk, but includes many genres, as you're probably going to hear tonight. We're going to hop through a few. The only requirement is aligning with the cultural ideals and values. So these values at their core boil down to made for us, by us, really about self-expression and freedom of voice. So these values also encompass anti-fascist, anti-racist, and feminist ideology. Historical examples of this include the Rock Against Racism campaign in Britain during the late 1970s and the Riot Grrrl feminism of the early 1990s. So these are instances where music and subculture have worked collectively as a means of organizing protest, raising consciousness, and creating change. The central mechanism that has allowed DIY punk subcultures to achieve high levels of mobilization has been the do-it-yourself ethic, which demands that punks take matters of cultural production into their own hands by making music, fanzines, and record labels, creating a network of venues for live performance, as well as creating other forms of micromedia that are commercially independent of the corporate culture industry. So some examples of local groups that fit within the DIY ethos that I wanted to highlight tonight, many of which are tabling during reception, include Many World, the Corvallis Really Really Free Market, Bitter Half Booking, A Better Tomorrow Productions, actually based out of McMinnville, and the Mid-Willamette Trans Support Network. Specifically, Bitter Half Booking, even though they are now retired from booking shows, has been the local blueprint for introducing new folks to DIY culture. So I want to give credit to Caitlin and Indiana for being incredible punk moms to so many people, including myself. So Many World is a fairly new DIY community center space that hosts the Corvallis Free Fridge, regular skill shares, and educational events in addition to hosting some all ages shows. The Corvallis Really Really Free Market, somewhat self-explanatory, provides free resources to anybody that needs it, essentially distributing unused resources throughout the community, operating on an alternate gift economy. The Mid-Willamette Trans Support Network has a ton of incredible programs and projects they work on, but at their core, they provide support and resources for the local queer community, including food, increased access to gender-affirming care, and more. Again, I could really go on and on about these groups, so please check them out during tabling at the reception. Also, most of these groups have some kind of food security project, so especially if you're food insecure right now, I encourage you to use these resources. Grad students, undergrad students, I know that many of you could benefit from these, and I wanted to also highlight there's the Coalition of Graduate Employees Hardship Fund that will be taking applications in a couple of weeks. So overall, Corvallis has a really rich and beautiful history of DIY culture, and I've been really lucky to be a part of it. The word culture comes from a word meaning place tilled in Middle English. The Latin root for culture means to inhabit, care for, till, or worship. Those of us that work with cells in the lab use the word culture all the time, so you can kind of see the through line of this etymology. I bring this up because to have a culture around science or at large, we need to actively care for it, inhabit it, and provide the optimal growth conditions. Much of what I'm going to be talking about this evening is trying to get at how to optimize our growth conditions and create and sustain the culture we want. So I really started integrating into the DIY community and culture when I joined the band Gene Shorts Jesus and started playing, I started the band Jay and Hex. So we're going to play some songs from both of these bands.
Like twice a day, and then I'll do it anyway. And if I fall down flat, I just don't know what else to do. And still they always advertise to all these kids that want to try. And it comes down to it, they'll play dumb almost every time. I swear I'm gonna burn it all down. All this time I'm waiting for you to breathe. I'm so it's like a guilt that eats inside. I'm always waiting for the high. A little comfort at night keeps me somewhat still alive. I hope it gives you more. I hope it gives you more. Should've stopped when you could. Swear I'm gonna burn it all down. Oh, all this time I'm waiting for you to breathe. I'm so addicted to this nicotine. Bound by forces holding me in place. This empty hole is one I can't replace. Oh. Gotta switch to the double bass real quick.
I said many genres.
This is where we go open up the pit. different kinds of people. I was never made to live like this. Pennies for the tricks I do are never quite deceitful. Crowds all come for miles just to watch my dick. Now it puts them in a trance. Far beyond these walls and the Everglades, there's home. Far beyond these caves where I Somewhere out there creeping in the garden, people come in many kinds of shape. As long as someone's getting paid, the price in peering unto evil. I swear this day I'll take my revenge and set the record where it stands. Long before the gold days and revelries, far beyond these caves where I perform, we're pretending to sleep, the doors are decree, taken for granted, but no longer make. Oh, the blood's running cold, I've been stealing our soul, the time's come for me to leave, I'm going home. Did your pickup break? It's okay, I broke a string. I got a spare guitar. I got a spare guitar.
Okay, so I want to pose a question to you as people who identify as scientists, and that is, why do we do science? I like to believe we do it for the common good. That's certainly why major granting agencies fund it. We have to incorporate that significance into grant proposals and publications to some extent. And maybe more on a personal level, we do science out of a sense of curiosity or self-fulfillment. Sometimes we, as scientists and academics, get really caught up in advancing our careers, publishing as much as possible, and feeling as though we're kind of winning the race. But how often do we truly go back to being motivated by the common good? And what's kind of the point of doing it at all? And I'm not trying to be like super existential about that. But I would say that science is supposed to inform us on how to live our lives. It gives us new knowledge, and then we use that knowledge to inform our decisions. So how to be healthy, how to be happy, how to care for the planet, etc. In an ideal world, science informs policy too. However, many of us here know that is not always the case. So I myself work in the realm of COVID research. So I have had a front row seat the last 5 years of my PhD to what happens when science becomes overtly political. And I say overtly because realistically, all science is political, specifically because it informs us on how to live our lives. And everyone has a stake in that, whether we realize it or not. Occasionally, an area of science becomes obviously political to the general public and enters the cultural zeitgeist. Climate scientists understand this. People working in infectious disease and vaccine research understand this. Many of us here have firsthand experience with this. And sometimes we like to believe this is a new phenomenon, but it is really not. So I'd like to bring up an example to you. Long before COVID, there was another viral pandemic that became highly politicized, and that was HIV/AIDS. So the AIDS pandemic destroyed communities and was a public health crisis with millions dying. But proper attention and research was not given to this disease because people had political ideology surrounding those it infected the most, which was gay men. It took 3 years after the onset of AIDS for Congress to dedicate any funding to AIDS-specific research. It wasn't until 5 years into the crisis that the president at the time even publicly mentioned AIDS. And scientists during this time, they were arguing over who discovered the virus first. There was a pretty bitter dispute over who first established the cause of AIDS, a French team at the Pasteur Institute or an American team at the National Cancer Institute. Basically, the French team found the virus that causes AIDS and developed the first test to detect antibodies to the virus in 1983, a year before the American team. And even more than credit and a Nobel Prize, which is nothing to sniff at, what they really wanted was the patent rights for the blood test. In a speech at the National Book Awards in 2014, author Ursula K. Le Guin said, "Right now, I think we need writers who know the difference between production of a market commodity and the practice of art." I think this statement applies if we change a couple of words to science as well. I think we do need scientists who know the difference between a commodity and the practice of science. So sometimes culture and political ideology collide with science in a way that abstracts it away from the realm of objectivity that we all like to believe science exists within. It is part of our responsibility as scientists to engage with those conversations and communicate from our point of expertise and training. And that's really hard. But I do promise you it matters. One thing that I've really learned from the DIY community is everything is political. The way you move through the world matters, and we cannot shy away from hard tasks and conversations if we want to cultivate a culture with strong community values and care for each other. Again, I don't necessarily have the answer for how we as scientists learn to engage with our broader community, except that to start, you have to try. And just one conversation with a neighbor is better than none.
What am I looking for? I don't know the answer. A fleeting glimpse at what's in store. A righteous path to turn my hand to. I get better. Take control. I don't know what I'm looking for. Who am I looking to? Heaven so far from home. Though wise is coward, still a fool. That trembles fears the devil's plan. I don't know And I know the clouds are empty. Why refuse a bloody cause? If words of comfort cannot tempt me, I don't know why I still look up.
I'm out of breath. So by far, the strongest value within the DIY scene is community, both community care and community power. Community care means that we are looking out for each other and sharing resources, providing food, legal aid, skill shares, community building, and more. Community power is using the power we have to collectively create a world that we want to live in. So what does that look like in science? And I was trying to brainstorm that myself. And a great example that came to mind for me was the TRACE program that sprung up at OSU at the emergence of the pandemic. So people here were using their skills, expertise, and resources to care for our community through tracking COVID. You too have the power to use your skills, expertise, and resources to positively impact your community. Community care and power can look like creating new systems and models when old ones don't serve us anymore. When you leave today, I encourage you to ask yourself what systems in science you believe could better serve our community. Even if you feel it's unrealistic, you have so much more power than you realize, and that power is only amplified when we work collectively. The other note on community I wanted to touch on is inclusivity. There's been a lot of great work put into recruiting more diverse perspectives into academia. This is undoubtedly something we should take pride in and continue doing. However, a space for everyone at the table does not only mean extending an invitation, but making the table a good place to be. We focus on bringing more people into the community, but how do we support them when they get here? We often focus so much on how to bring people to the table, but often overlook what it takes to make the table a desirable place to be. If you want more students or faculty of color, what have you done to make this a hospitable place for them to exist? If you want to bring more queer folks into this community, are you ensuring that they will feel respected here? Are we cultivating a culture that is conducive to diversity? Are we optimizing our growth conditions?
I won't give more than what they see, all for a sense of glory, a self-preservation story. Somewhere deep and cold inside, through the ways where you try to hide, a dead and dull ambition drove us to this premonition. People always achieve when they're never set to believe. Oh, lonesome roads and teenage runaways, a dead cold point flew in yesterday. And we've got people who can't find somewhere safe to sleep at night. Cardboard towns and distant shades of gray. The skies are full of concrete industry. Somewhere in the boat of time, we lost track of what is right. Oh, I cannot seem to find it in the now. Now we're running loose on the street to a world that will bring you to your knees. Not prepared for the landing. Watch the stars from where you're standing. It's getting cold, much too cold to breathe, and my own eyes can barely deceive my own attempts at glory, my self-preservation story. Lonesome roads and teenage runaway, head cold front flew in yesterday. We've got people who can't find somewhere safe to sleep at night. Cardboard towns and distant shades of gray. The skies are full of concrete industry. Somewhere in the boat of time, we lost track of what is right. Oh, I cannot seem to find it in the now. Lonesome roads and teenage runaways, a dead cold front flew in yesterday. And we've got people who can't find somewhere safe to sleep at night. Cardboard towns and distant shades of gray. The skies are full of concrete industry. Somewhere in the boat of time, we lost track of what is right. Oh, I cannot seem to find it in me now.
Okay, so do-it-yourself is the central ideal we've been talking about here tonight. And I want to mention that doing it yourself takes a lot of creativity. It means constantly imagining new ways of being and eliminating the mindset of, that's the way it's always been, so that's the way it always has to be. Now, academia is firmly rooted in tradition. It has been around since ancient Greece, and there are some things that genuinely have not changed since Plato. So reimagining the way we do things is probably going to take a lot of creativity. And I encourage you all to marinate on this when you leave tonight. Are there ways academia operates that fall into this category of the way it's always been? And do you think that they serve us? And if not, let's imagine alternatives. I was really struggling to find real-world examples to pull in for this until a friend from a knitting circle I go to, actually at Many World, told me about this really cool example of how this could look. So apparently there's a DIY style underground grad school in Portland called Portland Underground Grad School. The acronym is PUGS, which I think is very cute. And it's for people who want to be lifelong learners but may not necessarily be able to afford going to conventional university institutions. And obviously that's not going to be a one-to-one replacement for how grad school operates the way we know it. But I find this type of concept to be really intriguing, and I find it to be proof of concept that it is possible to reimagine the academic landscape. And then the next song is called Sunk Cost.
We're getting to the last piece of the puzzle just to find out it won't fit. I'm constantly annoyed with other people who really got their shit. And I may be able to say that we will probably be okay. I may have lost, but it didn't cost me nothing at all. Finding something honest only complicates those feelings that I have. I'm getting real particular with trying not to be a fucking trap. What if it all leads to decay? We'll be dancing either way, taking a risk so much that I missed that first time around. Embracing the fall, loving it all, still throwing it down. Still throwing it down. Well, tell me what you see. The fog's been scaring me. I'm not too strong, we're pushing, I'm gone. Maybe it's too late, I'll just play along. You'll have to see. This is really me. Please speak from your chest, still burning what's left. At least now I'm certain that it's for the best. You don't have much time here to waste it on the aftermath of something you were wrong in. Clutch into your pride, steer away from more responsibility. Always guilty, put it all on the shelf. That's exactly your out. I think you should start off being a bit more honest. It won't help if you're constantly held back by the bullshit you even never close to the scars etched in your face. They scream of primordial days. You were a mess, disgrace at your best. At least you were proud, embracing the fall, loving it all, still throwing it down. Throwing it down. Well, tell me what you see. Fog's been scaring me. I'm not too strong, I'm pushing, I'm gone. Maybe it's too late, I'll just play along. You'll have to see. This is really me. We'll speak from your chest, still burning what's left. At least I'm certain that it's for the best. That it's for the best.
Okay. So the last DIY punk value I want to leave you with is connection. In the organizing sphere, there's this saying, we are not free until we are all free. And there's a lot of focus on what you might have heard as like intersectionality. Because we realize that one, many of our struggles are interconnected, and two, there is strength in numbers. The sciences segregate themselves into disciplines, but we know many fields are highly related. For me, that looks like protein biophysics, virology, and epidemiology. Like, this is why scientists collaborate. We have common goals and are smarter together. But I encourage you to take that a little bit farther and widen your net. Seek out knowledge and perspectives completely outside your bubble. There's so much to be learned from other people, especially people who are not scientists at all. So scientists are gonna hate me when I say talk to people, socialize, go out and engage with your wider community, explain your science to people, smell the roses, maybe touch some grass, and be good to each other. Okay. So we're going to be playing 3 songs to wrap up here, and then there's going to be a reception out in the lobby. If you're able to stay and check out the group's tabling, that would be awesome. And there are so many people out there that are much more experienced community organizers than I am and have such a wealth of knowledge. So go and talk to those people. And thank you so much for being here. And I want to say thank you to my PI, LSR Barbar, who nominated me for this award. And yes, yes. She's constantly nominating me for all kinds of opportunities. And I appreciate it. And if you mentor graduate students, taking the time to put them up for opportunities like this really means so much. So I encourage you to do that. Thank you to the College of Science team, Brianna, Erica, Hannah, Tamara, Cameron, and Dean Feingold. This was a huge undertaking, and I'm so sorry. But I'm thankful for the faith that you had in me. And thank you to my bands. They took time off work, and some even drove down from Portland to be here. Jay has to work a night shift tonight. I just appreciate you all so much for doing this for me. Jay Eckhart on guitar. Devin Cash, also on guitar. Yoshi Sheets on drums. Ava Schnoll, also on drums. Tucker Gibbons on bass. Grayson Miracle, also on bass. Nora Saganiak on the cello.
And Hannah Hex on saxophone!
And we are sadly missing a couple of people tonight due to some health issues, so send them good and healing thoughts. Okay, so we're gonna play 3 more songs. If you have to leave now, you have places to be, or if you wanna get to the food early, that's okay. But we're gonna play 3 songs anyway.
Taking shots, my hand felt steady. The distance felt imaginary. My mind is starting to breathe again. Never was this what we promised, and in my heart that was dishonest. Oh, I'm starting to breathe again. Oh, but maybe we're scared to say, scared to follow our feet and just get away from it all. The start of pain, the entire world just can't explain how I'm swimming through dire straits, and I'm having a time of it anyways. I don't know just what to say. You are amazing, but you are afraid, and I know how that feels. Never was this what we wanted. Our heart was true, but maybe something will go and lead to the same. 'Cause you wanted everything, and my mind was crazy to go and live with this pain again. Oh, but maybe we're scared to say, scared to follow our feet and just get away from I'm having a time of it anyways. I don't know just what to say. You are amazing, but you are afraid, and I know how that. But maybe we're scared to say we should just get away. I'm going out this way. Something's gotta give, but I just can't explain anything. Oh, maybe we're scared to say, scared to follow our feet and just get away. That was funny.
Yesterday